This is the Red River Valley, that place where the water runs north by the town of Hallstead. It's a highly productive agricultural swath known for its sugar beets, but also wheat and soybeans, some corn. This is the place where Rachel Arneson farms.
With all of our crops on the farm, it's important risk management to have some good variety of each crop. Right now, we have about 650 acres of sugar beets, which is less than a fourth of our acreage. Simply because as a shareholder of American Crystal Sugar, I can only plant so many acres, but the sugar beets on any given year really do carry the farm, even though they make up a smaller percentage of our acreage.
Rachel's parents are retiring. Retire as much as any retiring farmer can actually retire.
So my parents, Ray and Jacqueline, are officially retiring at the end of this year from farming. And I only use the retirement word to be clear for the non-native farmer because retirement is not something we really discuss in the farming world. Even though he's retiring at the end of this year, I've managed the farm for a good 5 or more years myself, where he hasn't been physically involved, but if I want his input on things or need his input on things, I'll just go and have a discussion with him.
The farm is 140 years old this year. Rachel is the 5th generation to work some of the same soils as did her great-great-grandfather.
So 2023 marks 140 years since my great-great-grandfather, Ole Viker, he migrated to Hallstead and started farming. I still farm some of the acres that he first owned in 1883.
Why did he stop at Hallstead?
He actually traveled from Mabel, Minnesota, in the northeast corner of the state. He was sent off with $500 from his father and a team of horses for his life up here. At the time, in 1883, the railroad arrived in Hallstead. And so I think this was just the last stop.
Rachel always believed she would be involved in the farm one way or another.
There was never any pressure. I helped out in high school with wheat harvest. I was very rarely ever helped. You know, I might work ground on the weekends during school, but Dad never wanted to pull me out of school in order to help.
Being a full-time female farmer still has its moments.
Being a woman in a male-dominated industry, it's actually something that I forget about on the day-to-day, just because everyone in my immediate area is so used to me, they're very welcoming. But as soon as I go out of my little bubble, I'm immediately met with questions like, well, do you have a brother that's farming with you? And it's like, well, yes, but he works for me. There was one gentleman, I remember, this happened within the last year. I can't remember at what meeting I was sitting next to him. And I just politely said, you know, I try not to let it irk me too much, but my response to him was, everything that you do, I do.
Rachel has a daughter, Isla, who's just 2 years old. Isla will have a childhood full of tractor rides, as her father, Ryan Steen, also has his own farming operation.
A lot of women in business, or a lot of women who are mothers in business, have run into what feels like single motherhood in trying to juggle their responsibilities on top of raising a child. It just seems like women are the default parent, no matter how you cut it or how you discuss with your spouse or significant other how to share those responsibilities. It's just, there's still very much a cultural expectation that the women are the default parent. So in that, I do feel like a single mom, but not because I'm not married.
As the owner of land and equipment, Rachel's father's approval is important. In earlier days, that was not always guaranteed. But over time, and with Rachel's good work, he's grown to trust her judgment and management.
Yeah, there are a lot of farm kids who go to college and get an ag-related degree, or even like diesel mechanics or something very practical, and I didn't. And I've had to do, there was a steep learning curve, even though I grew up on the farm, there was a steep learning curve. I remember actually the first couple years that I was back, my dad exhibited more doubt than I did. I really had to convince my dad that I can do this. I can drive a semi in beet harvest even though I've never driven a semi before, because for the simple fact that, hey, we need someone to drive a semi during this shift in beet harvest. I kind of had to psych myself up in a lot of situations, but there were a lot of personal tears that I wouldn't show to anybody else, but when I was struggling along the way in convincing myself as well as others that I can do this.